Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parishwara Stotra Satashi Shrimad His Divine Grace Shalesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Gaur Pramanande Hribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 24, titled Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Text number 38. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityu. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityu. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasa karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Amritatvaya mam bhaja. Gaccha kamam maya pristo. Mai sanyasta karmana. Jitva sudurjayam mrityum. Word for word translation. Gaccha, go. Kamam, as you wish. Maya, by me. Apristaha, sanctioned. Mai, to me. Sanyasta, completely surrendered. Karmana, with your activities. Jitva, having conquered. Sudurjayam, insurmountable. Mrityum, death. Amritatvaya, for eternal life. Mam, unto me. Bhaja, engage in devotional service. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Shalesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire, surrendering all your activities to me, conquering insurmountable death. Worship me for eternal life. Purport. The purpose of Sankhya philosophy is stated herein. If anyone wants real eternal life, he has to engage himself in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. To become free from birth and death is not an easy task. Birth and death are natural to this material body. Sudurjayam means very, very difficult to overcome. The modern so-called scientists do not have sufficient means to understand the process of victory over birth and death. Therefore, they set aside the question of birth and death. They do not consider it. They simply engage in the problems of the material body, which is transient and sure to end. Actually, human life is meant for conquering the insurmountable process of birth and death. That can be done as stated here. Mam bhaja. One must engage in the devotional service of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta. Just become my devotee. Just worship me. But foolish so-called scholars say that it is not Krishna whom we must worship and to whom we must surrender. It is something else. Without Krishna's mercy, therefore, no one can understand the Sankhya philosophy or any philosophy which is especially meant for liberation. Vedic knowledge confirms that one becomes entangled in this material life because of ignorance, and that one can become free from material embarrassment by becoming situated in factual knowledge. Sankhya means that factual knowledge by which one can get out of the material entanglement. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksulmaitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation again. So this is spoken by Lord Kapiladev to Kardama Muni. Now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire, surrendering all your activities to me. Conquering insurmountable death, worship me for eternal life. So yesterday we were discussing how at the start of this chapter we saw Kardama Muni initially glorifying Lord Kapiladev, offering his gratitude for his darshan. And then, after glorifying and offering a series of beautiful prayers, Kardama Muni, he then asks Lord Kapiladev for his permission to leave his house and to go to the forest and take sannyas, basically. So we were just discussing yesterday, why was it that Kardama Muni, he wanted to take sannyas immediately, even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he himself has appeared in his house and he has appeared as his son. One would think or expect that he would stay in the house along with Mother Devahuti and get the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But no, as soon as Lord Kapiladev is born, he merely takes sannyas and he goes away. But before taking sannyas, he requests the Supreme Lord's permission. That please give me permission so I can take sannyas and go. So why was it he wanted to take sannyas? Yesterday we were describing how Srila Prabhupada, he explains that Kardama Muni, he wanted to follow the Varnashram system very strictly. So according to Varnashram, when a man, he reaches the age of 50, he takes Vanaprastha. And he retires from family life and he takes shelter of full-time devotional service. And yesterday we were describing how His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he was explaining of how we can understand Vanaprastha, how we can apply the Vanaprastha ashram in our current context in ISKCON. So Maharaj is saying that Vanaprastha for us doesn't mean that, okay, we give up everything and go to the forest and practice, severe austerities and tapasya. But for us, in a practical sense, we can take it that after a certain period of time when our family life is settled, the kids have grown up, they've gotten married, they've settled, and we've saved up enough money to maintain ourselves, then Maharaj was saying, then one should retire from working, and instead of doing only part-time devotional service, one should start engaging in full-time devotional service. So at the moment, most of us, some part during the week, we're engaged in, working outside. And then, maybe on the weekends or in our spare time, we come to the temple and we do direct devotional service. So only a certain section of the week we're able to do direct devotional service at this moment. But Maharaj was saying we should plan our life in such a way that sometime in the future, we won't have to work anymore. And sometime in the future, we can fully, 100%, just do direct devotional service only. So that is Vanaprastha ashram. Maharaj is explaining in our current context. We don't have to go to the forest and, just do tapasya, so on and so forth. It's practically impossible. And even if we're able to do it, who does it benefit? It only benefits us. We can't benefit other living entities. So Maharaj is saying you practice in such a way, you plan your life in such a way that in the future you won't have to work and you can just do full-time devotional service. And according to Shastra, in Vanaprastha ashram, one can still be there in the house, or one can still be present with his wife in the house and practice, or one can leave and practice separately. So this way Maharaj was explaining nicely about practical Vanaprastha ashram for us. So now Kardama Muni, he is taking sannyas because he wants to strictly follow the Varnashram system of going to the forest or taking Vanaprastha at the age of 50. Second, more deeper reason we were discussing yesterday was that Kardama Muni, his mood in which he wants to worship the Supreme Lord is that of Dasya Bhav or Dasya Ras, in which the devotee is just seeing the Supreme Lord with awe and reverence, and he just wants to render devotional service or loving service onto his lotus feet. But now that same master of his has appeared as his son. And this makes things a bit awkward, a bit complicated for him. Because his mood is, he's my master, I need to serve him. But that same master has become his son, and he can't have a parental relationship with Lord Kapila. That would be, like a rasa bas for him. It's like a mixing of rasas. Because that's not his mood. His mood of worshipping Krishna is not that, okay, Krishna is my son, I have to take care of him. His mood of worshipping Krishna is that, okay, Krishna is my supreme master, I need to, do menial service for him. So because he can't relate with the Supreme Lord in parental ras, so therefore he immediately leaves and goes to the forest and takes sannyas. Now these verses spoken by Lord Kapila in response to Kardama Muni's prayers, and now Lord Kapila is formally giving him permission. He is saying now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire. So Lord Kapila is giving him permission. Okay, as you desire, you take sannyas and you go to the forest. Now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire, surrendering all your activities to me, conquering insurmountable death, worship me for eternal life. So Lord Kapila is giving permission, but he's also instructing Kardama Muni that, okay, take sannyas, but after you leave and you go to the forest, whatever you do all of that for my sake, for my benefit, surrendering all your activities onto me. Mai sannyasta karmana. And secondly, he's saying that mam bhaja, and just engage in my devotional service. So 2 instructions he's giving, that whatever activities you do, karmana, you do that for my benefit, for my pleasure. Second, mam bhaja, you just engage in my loving devotional service. So regarding surrender, we all know the famous sloka in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is concluding his instructions, Bhagavad Gita, by telling Arjuna, just surrender, abandon all various religions, surrender unto me. And in the purport of that verse, Prabhupada gives very nice purport. In that purport, Prabhupada, he quotes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives 6 symptoms of surrender to help us get a more deeper understanding of what exactly it means to be surrendered to Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives 6 different symptoms by which we can judge whether we're surrendered or not. So if a particular devotee, he ticks all of these 6 items, we can say, okay, he is a surrendered devotee of Krishna. So what are these 6 symptoms? Prabhupada quotes this in 1866 of Gita. So, anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, raksistiti visvaso, goptritre varanam braja. The last line is Atmas karpani sadvida shranam gati. The last line, I think I'm missing one word. But basically the 6 symptoms are, the first one is anukulyasya sankalpa. Anukulyasya means favorable. And sankalpa means to accept. So anukulyasya sankalpa means to accept whatever is favorable for devotional service. So anything that helps us get closer to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, anything that helps us in our service to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, to Guru and Krishna, we accept it. Although that certain thing might not be to our liking, still if it's going to help us advance, then we should accept it. For example, waking up early in the morning. That's favorable for devotional service, right? It helps us chant nice attentive rounds. It helps us get a nice positive spiritual start to the day. But is it to our liking? Our mind is always rebelling. Why should I wake up at 4 o'clock, or 4:30 or 3:30, so early? So for most of us, our mind is always, rebellious to wake up early in the morning. So it's an austerity. But still, we still do it. Why? Because it helps us in our spiritual life. So if we are able to reject our mind, if we're able to, say no to our mind and force ourselves to wake up in the morning, that is us surrendering onto Krishna. That is us surrendering onto Guru and Krishna. We don't want to do it, but still we're doing it. Why? Because it helps us do better bhakti. It helps us do better devotional service to Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada, he has set up this whole morning program to help us. Prabhupada said his plan was to keep us free from Maya. Prabhupada said, I have designed the morning program in like a sandwich structure, Prabhupada says. So in sandwich you have top layer bread, bottom layer bread, and in the middle you have the filling inside. So Prabhupada says, in the morning, before we go out to do whatever our duties is, we have a nice strong morning program of Mangalarti, chanting japa, singing and dancing in front of the deities, Guru Puja, Bhagavatam class. So that is the top layer. Then during the day you go out, you do your business, engage with the mature energy. Then you come back, and in the evening, again, you have another evening program. So in the evening when you come back from work or come back from book distribution or whatever seva activities we're doing, then in the evening, again, we sing and dance in front of the deities, attend Gaurati, read some Krishna book, read one of Srila Prabhupada's books, take some nice prasad and then go to sleep, thinking about Krishna. So in this way, Prabhupada said, he has devised this means to help us stay fixed in devotional service and not get allured by Maya. So Prabhupada used to call it the sandwich program. In the morning, before you go out, you have a nice strong morning program. And in the evening, after you come back, you wash off, whatever contamination you took during the day. Because during the day, we have to engage with, a lot of people who are non-devotees. So when we associate with them, naturally there'll be some negative samskaras or impressions we'll take during the day when we associate with the illusory energy. So to wash that off, Prabhupada says, we need to have an evening program also. So in the evening, when we come and sing and chant together, when we read together, that helps us cleanse our consciousness of whatever contamination we took in during the day. And especially now in Kali Yuga, everywhere we go, we'll see, Maya is there. Kali Yuga is there to distract us, to take us away from Krishna. Before, the ads, the advertisement, they used to only come on TV. So if you say no to TV, you think you've achieved. I remember when I was first becoming a devotee, one of the biggest challenges was, to completely stop watching TV. So the day when, I stopped, I was feeling like so, happy, like I conquered, a whole empire. Okay, I stopped watching TV, Now I'm free, Now Maya can't get me. But nowadays, if you see, there's advertisements everywhere. Like even you're driving the car, on the side of the buses, there's like, both sides. On the left side of the bus, there's one ad. On the right side of the bus, there's another ad. On the back side of the bus, there's another ad. Apart from the front and the top, there's ads on all those different sides. So even when you're driving the car, you're just walking down the street, there's just like ads floating here and there. When you're waiting at the bus stand, on the bus stand just here in front of the temple, there'll be different ads rolling. It's like wherever you go, there's just ads here and there, So Maya is everywhere actually. So naturally, when we go out during the day, naturally we're bound to undergo, some kind of bad samskara, contamination. That's why Prabhupada says it's important that at the start of the day, we have a strong spiritual program. At the end of the day, again, we have another strong spiritual program to help us wash off our consciousness from all contamination we took during the day. So this is one example of accepting something which is favorable for devotional service. So although it might not be to our liking, although it might be austere, still we push ourselves and we force ourselves to do it. And Krishna, he's watching, okay, this devotee of mine, to do better service for me, he's doing this, for my service. And Krishna appreciates that. And Krishna will give us more mercy. So like this, there's so many different rules and regulations which are there in the Shastras. And if something helps us become more Krishna conscious, then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, we should immediately accept it. And that is a symptom of surrender. Regarding the morning program which Srila Prabhupada had made, one story I was reading recently, Bhavananda Prabhu, he was sharing this. He was explaining, previously Bhavananda Prabhu, he was like in charge of the Los Angeles temple, one of the early centers in Los Angeles. And at that time, devotees, they were like very enthusiastic to go on Harinam, distribute Back to God magazines, so on and so forth. Today also we're having a big Maha Harinam with His Holiness Janananda Maharaj in Town Hall. So the Harinam will be from 6:30 to 8:30. So everyone is invited. There'll be prasadam served for all the devotees who attend the Harinam at the end. So it's in Town Hall, just in front of the Town Hall station. So back then, the late 60s or early 70s, Bhavananda Prabhu and all the devotees in the LA temple, they were super enthusiastic to do Harinam Sankirtan. So much so, whole night they would be out in the city doing Harinam in the CBD. Whole night means they would go up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the city doing Harinams, singing and dancing on the streets. And they will come back to the temple. By the time they come back, it will be like, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning. So what time is Mangalati? Mangalati is at 4:30. So they were thinking, okay, if we come back at 2 o'clock, then we go to bed, we'll only get, 2 hours of rest before Mangalati comes. So, sleeping 2 hours and again waking up, that's not good, that's very austere. So what we'll do, they had this brilliant idea. They thought, instead of having Mangalati at 4:30, we'll have Mangalati at 3:30. We'll push it more earlier. So as soon as we come back from Harinam Sankirtan, we can quickly, just chant some rounds, quickly do Mangalati, then we can peacefully sleep, From 4 o'clock, we can sleep, to Bhagavatam class. We'll get good solid rest. Instead of sleeping 2 hours and again waking up for Mangalati, then again sleeping, let's just push Mangalati 1 hour back, from 4:30 to 3:30. So as soon as we come back from Harinam Sankirtan, we can just quickly just chant some rounds, quickly do the Mangalati, and then just take nice good rest. So these devotees, they did this. They changed the schedule. And they made Mangalati at 3:30. So which means that Krishna, instead of waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, he was waking up at 3 o'clock. So usually they wake up the deities like half an hour before the actual arti. So like for us, we have Mangalati at 4:30. So if you're in the temple room at 4 a.m. in the morning, you'll see, under the curtains, it'll be like dark. And at 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., you'll hear the door of the altar opening. And then you'll hear the pujari walking in. And then you'll hear the pujari, turning on the light switch. And then when you hear the pujari turn on the light switch, you can see from under the curtains, instead of seeing darkness, there'll be light. So the lights of the altars have been turned on. Then you'll hear the pujari, ringing the bell, ting, 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 ting. So that's like Krishna's alarm bell. So Krishna, he hears that, then he wakes up, Krishna, in the morning. So our other Gopinath, they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day. So same thing was happening in LA, but the devotees, they pushed the schedule to 1 hour early. So now Krishna, he was waking up 1 hour early every day. So every day he was getting 1 hour less rest. So then they were doing like this for some time, and then Srila Prabhupada, he visits LA. And Prabhupada's visiting LA. He comes from morning program, and he hears from the devotees, okay, they've changed the schedule, It's at 3:30 Mangalati, so Prabhupada comes, Mangalati, and he takes darshan, and he just takes one look at the deities, takes darshan, then immediately he goes up to Bhavananda Prabhu and calls him outside. Then Srila Prabhupada and Bhavananda Prabhu, they go outside and they start discussing something very seriously. And then Bhavananda Prabhu, he comes back. And then all the devotees are curious, what did Srila Prabhupada say to Bhavananda Prabhu? And then naturally the devotees go and they ask Bhavananda Prabhu, what did Srila Prabhupada say? What did Srila Prabhupada say? And Bhavananda Prabhu said that Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna, he's looking very tired. He's not getting enough rest at night. So go back to the usual schedule, stop waking up Krishna 1 hour early. He looks very tired, he needs more rest. So then after that, devotees, they changed the schedule back to 4:30 Mangala Arti. And after some time, they also stopped the late night Harinams. They understood it's not practical. They're going a bit over the board, not taking care of their health. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, she also says that our first priority should be our health. First priority is health, then comes sadhana, then third comes seva or devotional service. Because if our health is not good, then we can't do sadhana, we can't do seva also. So that's why we need to be healthy and strong, both physically, mentally, spiritually. Then we can do our seva nicely, we can do our sadhana nicely. Okay, so that is anukulyasya sankalpa, accepting that which is favorable for devotional service. So anything that's favorable, we accept. Same way with money, Is money good or bad? For some money might be bad, for some it may be good. If we can engage a lot of money in Krishna's service, then why not? We accept all the money we can get. We can all engage it in Krishna's devotional service. Like one time, while Prabhupada was in India, one devotee, they brought one newspaper article, and there was like some yogi, and this yogi, or this Baba or Babaji, he was being praised for his renunciation. This Babaji was, being given, a big sum of Lakshmi, and this so-called sadhu was saying, no, this is Maya, I can't take it. I don't need this, I am a renunciate, I can't accept this money. And Srila Prabhupada laughed at that, and Srila Prabhupada said, you asked that man to come and give me the money. If he comes to me with the money, with both hands I will happily take the money, and I'll engage it all in Krishna's service. So this is our philosophy, Prabhupada taught us, that we accept everything for Krishna's service. Whatever donations we get, we'll happily accept everything. We don't see it, this is all Maya, this is all illusion. No, we'll happily accept all donations and we all engage it for Krishna's service. So that's the important thing. Everything that we get should be utilized for Krishna's service. On the other side, Prabhupada says that not a single farthing, not a single cent should be used for our own personal sense gratification. Whatever donations come, we should make sure everything is being utilized for Krishna's sense gratification, not for our sense gratification. Another time, I think this was maybe when Prabhupada was in Australia. So whenever Prabhupada, he would go to a particular city or country, devotees, they would receive Prabhupada very nicely, and they will arrange, or they would rent or arrange for nice cars to pick up Prabhupada from the airport. So one time, one place, devotees, they had arranged for a Rolls Royce. Either they bought it or they were renting it to pick up Srila Prabhupada from the airport. And in the airport, naturally, there were reporters to interview Srila Prabhupada, and these reporters noticed, this, sadhu, this Swamiji, he's being driven in a Rolls Royce, How is so? He's supposed to be a renunciate, supposed to be a monk. Why is he driving in a Rolls Royce? He should be renounced. So naturally, the reporters, they asked Srila Prabhupada about this. Now, Swamiji, how is it that, you're driving in a Rolls Royce? Is this proper? And then what was Prabhupada's response? Prabhupada said, what is this Rolls Royce? This Rolls Royce is just tin and metal. My disciples, they should get me a golden car. This is useless, this Rolls Royce. They should arrange a golden car, I am the representative of Krishna. They should arrange something even better than this, like this. And the reporter is just completely shocked. That's the last thing he would be expecting. he thought maybe Prabhupada would defend himself. No, I didn't want, but my disciples gave me. But Prabhupada was saying the complete opposite. That, this Rolls Royce is just tin and metal, it's useless. I should be riding in a golden car, I am the representative of Krishna. So like that, Prabhupada, he challenged back. So in this way, we can see the first item of surrender, okay? Anukuljasya sankalpa. We accept whatever is favorable for devotional service. So Prabhupada accepting all this worship from his disciples. Prabhupada was taking all this worship not for himself, but as a representative of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. So whatever offerings Srila Prabhupada was getting, Prabhupada was passing it on to Krishna. And for the disciples, when they're getting these opportunities to worship the spiritual master in these ways, the disciples, they make advancement. So when Srila Prabhupada is letting his disciples, worship him, offer, all sorts of service, Prabhupada is helping his disciples advance, because the more Guru Bhakti a particular devotee develops, the more he advances, because Guru is the representative of Krishna. So in this way, Prabhupada was letting his devotees, his disciples, worshiping him so elaborately to give them an opportunity to advance further in devotional service, to give them an opportunity to further deepen their Guru Bhakti. So this was Srila Prabhupada's move. He wasn't taking it all for himself, but he was taking it as representative of Krishna. I am representing Krishna. As representing Krishna, I will accept this on Krishna's behalf. So Prabhupada had a very humble mood, and he was accepting all this worship simply for the benefit of his disciples. So the second item of surrender is Anukulyasya sankalpa, Pratikulyasya varjanam. So Anukul means favorable, Pratikul means opposite. What is not favorable? Pratikulyasya varjanam. Varjanam means to reject or give up. So the second item of surrender is we have to reject whatever is unfavorable for devotional service. So just like something might not be to our liking, but if it helps us in our devotional service, then if we're surrendered, we should immediately grab it. Although we don't like it, still it helps us do bhakti, we still accept it. On the other hand, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, something might be to our liking, something we might really like or we might be really attached to. But if it's not favorable for bhakti, we should be ready to give it up. And that is, again, another principle of surrender. Just like initially, some devotees, they might be attached to drinking tea and coffee. For some devotees, it's hard for them to give up tea and coffee. But it's not favorable for devotional service. It's against what Srila Prabhupada taught us. So devotees, they reject that because it's not favorable for devotional service. Although they attach, although they like to do it, still they say no to it because it's not favorable. And that is a sign of surrender. Okay, so that is the second symptom, that we say no to whatever is unfavorable for devotional service. So anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, raksis iti visvaso. So the third item is the devotee, he should have firm faith that Krishna will always protect me. Raksis iti visvaso. So visvaso means faith. So a particular devotee, he should have that strong faith that no matter whatever happens, Krishna is always out there to protect me. He's always there with me in my heart. He's always there to protect me. And Krishna is my savior. So if a particular devotee has that strong faith, that is another sign of surrender. So classical example is that of Prahlad Maharaj. He was so surrendered onto the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimhadev. He was completely fearless. It's in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains. Like if you study the verses of Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam will give a couple of different examples of how Hiranyakashipu, he tried to assassinate or torture Prahlad Maharaj. For example, some verses explain how Hiranyakashipu, he tried to throw off Prahlad Maharaj from a cliff, into the ocean. Other verses explain he put Prahlad Maharaj in a pit full of snakes, poisonous snakes. Other verses say that he tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj with deadly weapons. Like this, Bhagavatam gives, a couple of different examples of how Hiranyakashipu tried to assassinate or torture his 5-year-old son. But Prabhupada in his purport, he explains that Hiranyakashipu, he didn't try to kill Prahlad Maharaj in just 5 different ways, 10 different ways, 20 different ways. But Prabhupada explains Hiranyakashipu, he tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj in thousands of different ways. So thousands of different ways, thousands of times, Hiranyakashipu, he tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. So can you imagine taking thousands of different, assassination attempts, thousands of different attempts of being tortured? But Prahlad Maharaj, he was able to happily withstand all these thousands of attempts of being tortured and assassinated. So Hiranyakashipu, he was completely mad, in envy of Krishna and his son, that he tried to kill his 5-year-old son in thousands of different ways. But Prahlad Maharaj, he was completely fearless. He was not even for a moment overcome by fear. Why? Because he was fully surrendered at the lotus feet of Krishna. He knew that Krishna is my protector. He will protect me. So he had that strong faith that Krishna will always protect me. And if we read towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, I think this is 16th chapter maybe, the first verse of that. There's some qualities described, the divine and demoniac qualities, 16th chapter Bhagavad Gita. So in the first verse, Krishna, he gives a whole list of divine qualities. And the initial qualities, different qualities, they refer to different individuals in the Varnashram systems. For example, some qualities are supposed to be cultivated by sannyasis. Some qualities are supposed to be cultivated by brahmacharis, grahastas, vanaprasthas, so on and so forth. And if we look at the qualities which are meant for sannyasis to be cultivated, the first quality, Prabhupada explains, that a sannyasi should have is fearlessness. So that is given as the first symptom or first divine quality that every single sannyasi must cultivate. If someone is unable to cultivate this quality of fearlessness, Prabhupada says he can't be a sannyasi, he can't be a renunciate. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that a sannyasi, he's supposed to give up everything and just be out there on his own, not depending on anyone, just depending on the Supreme Lord. And he goes into the forest, and in the forest there's wild animals, there's tigers, lions. Any moment he can be attacked by deadly animals and creatures. And where will he get food? He doesn't know where food will come during the day. So if someone is going to take to the path of sannyas, naturally he must have this quality of fearlessness. He must understand. Prabhupada explains that the sannyasi, he understands that Krishna, he is within my heart. And he is watching everything I'm doing. And he will take care of me. He will maintain me. He will protect me. So unless one has this, this strong factual realization that Krishna is my heart, he is always there with me at all times, places, and circumstances. He will always protect me. Prabhupada says one cannot take sannyas. So this is another symptom of surrender. That we need to have that strong faith that Krishna is always there within our hearts. He is always there to protect us. We are never alone. Krishna is always there with us. So the fourth symptom is Goptrite Varanam Tata. Goptrite Varanam Tata means to accept or understand that Krishna is our maintainer. So Rakshasati Viswasa means to understand that Krishna is a protector. He will always protect us. Goptrite Varanam Tata means to understand that Krishna is our supreme maintainer. That Krishna is maintaining us. No matter whatever happens, Krishna will take care of us. So that is another symptom of surrender. The classic story regarding this, Prabhupada used to often quote, was that of the one famous devotee in Jagannath Puri. He was known as Arjunacharya. His name, Prabhupada, he would often quote this story. So this devotee, his name was Arjunacharya, and other devotees, like another name for him was the Gita Pandit. Because this particular Brahmana or devotee, he would every day study Bhagavad Gita. Every day he would read, the whole Gita. So that's why this particular devotee, he got the nickname as Gita Pandit or Gita Panda. Because every day he would sit and he would read the whole Gita. So he was a very dedicated reader of Bhagavad Gita. So this Gita Pandit, he was a devotee of Lord Jagannath. And every day he would study Gita. And how would he maintain himself? He would just go out begging alms. So every day he will go door to door and beg alms. Whatever food he was able to collect, he would bring back home and his wife would cook and they would maintain family just simply by begging alms. But one week what happened? It was raining. One day it rained. He couldn't go out to beg alms. There weren't any umbrellas, so on and so forth. So on a rainy day, he couldn't go out to beg. So one day went by, it was raining. He couldn't go out to beg food. Then second day, again it was raining. The rain didn't stop. Again, he couldn't go out to beg food. Then third day went by. Again, still it was raining, non-stop. And he couldn't go out to beg food. So like this, so many days were going by, and he wasn't able to go out and beg food for his family. And slowly, slowly, whatever stock of grains was there in the house, all got finished. And there was nothing left in the house for himself, his wife, and his children. So then the wife naturally, she starts getting worried, what's happening, my husband, he's not going out to beg, and he's unable to get food, there's nothing left in the house, we're all starving. So she starts, having talks with her husband. And the husband, what's his, he's completely opposite. The wife is in complete anxiety, but the husband, he's completely happy and blissful. Why is he blissful and happy? Because he doesn't have to go out and beg. He gets extra 2 hours, to read Gita even more. So he's blissful. Okay, today it's raining. No problem, I can read Bhagavad Gita even more. So he's happy and blissful. But the wife is worried, there's no food in the house. So the wife is complaining, and this particular devotee of Lord Jagannath, he starts to advise his wife that don't worry, Jagannath, he's a supreme maintainer. Jagannath will take care of us, have faith in Krishna. Have faith in Lord Jagannath, he's the supreme maintainer, Goptrite Varanam Tata. He will take care of us, he will maintain us. And then he opens up his Bhagavad Gita and he shows her that famous verse, Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, for my devotees, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So he shows this particular verse to his wife. That see, Lord Jagannath in this verse, in Gita, he's telling Arjuna, that for my devotees, I carry what they lack. So we're lacking food, don't worry. Krishna will give us food. Lord Jagannath will give us food, just have faith. And his wife was just irritated, what is all this, just go out and get food, why are you telling me all this? So his wife, she wasn't pacified. And later on, when this Gita Pandit, he leaves his table, where he used to study Gita and he goes somewhere else. At that time, his wife in anger comes, and that particular verse that this Gita Pandit has showed her, out of anger, she puts a line through that verse, there's no food, we're all starving, and he's showing me all these Gita slokas, what is the purpose of all this? And then she just puts a line through that particular verse, where Krishna is saying, I will carry what my devotees lack, and I will preserve what they have. Then she goes. Then, soon after, what happens? There is a knock on the door, someone's knocking, knock, knock, knock. And then she opens the door and she sees two very beautiful boys standing at her doorstep. One is whitish in complexion, the other one is very blackish in complexion. And these two young boys, they have, full grocery bags, from Woolies and Coles, they have two big bags, full of all veggies. One has a big, 5-kilo rice bag, another one has dal bag, veggies, everything. Spices, everything they've bought. And she's surprised, where did these two beautiful boys come from? And, these two boys saying, mother, oh Mata, this is for you, we have brought for you. And then she was asking the two boys, please come inside, stay. I will quickly make some nice prasadam, and you can also, honor the prasadam, actually. And these two boys said, no, we don't want to come. We don't want to come inside. And they explained, one of the, the blackish boy, he explained to the wife that actually my tongue is cut, therefore I can't eat. So, no, and then he refuses, then he goes away. And then the wife, she comes inside and she starts cooking, and then the husband comes, and he's surprised to see, prasadam, he's surprised to see so many groceries. Then he asks, what has happened, how did this all come? Then she explained the story, there's two kids, they came, and the husband chastises his wife, why didn't you tell them to stay, They gave us so much, free bhoga, and you should have at least asked them to stay, and they could have taken some prasad. Why did you let them go, empty stomach? And his wife said, no, they said they can't eat. The blackish boy, he said he had a cut in his tongue, and that's why he couldn't eat. And then this Gita Pandit, he went and he saw in his Gita what his wife had done. She had put a line through that verse which he had shown her. And then immediately this Gita Pandit, he understood what has happened. He understood that those two boys were none other than Krishna and Balram, Lord Jagannath and Balram, who had come to give their devotees bhoga. And that blackish boy who said his tongue was cut, that was Lord Jagannath actually. So when this Mataji, she put that line through that sloka in the Gita, she actually cut Lord Jagannath's tongue, because Shastras say that these verses spoken by Krishna in Gita, they're non-different from Krishna. Just like Krishna's holy name is non-different from him, in the same way, these verses of Bhagavad Gita are non-different from Krishna. So when this Mataji, she's putting a line through this sloka of Bhagavad Gita, she's putting a line through Lord Jagannath's tongue. So then immediately they become worried, we've committed such a great aparad at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. Immediately they go rushing into the temple. And they come rushing into the temple of Lord Jagannath, they offer obeisances, and they're taking darshan of Lord Jagannath, and they're looking at Lord Jagannath's face, and they're seeing there is some red dots on Lord Jagannath's smile, signifying blood coming out like that. And then they beg forgiveness from Lord Jagannath. And then this wife, she gets the point. So like this pastime, Prabhupada would often quote regarding this fourth principle of surrender, which is to understand that Krishna is our supreme maintainer. No matter whatever happens, Krishna will take care of us. Prabhupada would often, by logic give this example that, Krishna, he's even maintaining, big elephants. Big elephants, they eat tons and tons of, leaves, fruits, roots, and plants. How are they getting all this food? Who is supplying them? Krishna. The ants are getting their few grains of sugar, and big elephants are getting tons and tons of, leaves and plants to eat. So who is feeding all of them? It's Krishna. So if Krishna can feed all these huge elephants, out in the middle of Africa, then why can't Krishna feed his devotees who are serving him day in and day out? So Krishna will always take care of us. We need to have that strong faith. So that is 4. Then anukulyasya sankalpasya pratikulyasya vajram raksasati visvasya goptrite varanam tata. Then what's the next one? I think another one is humility. To be humble. That is another symptom of surrender. And does anyone have Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, taking exclusive shelter of Krishna. I think the 5th one is humility, and the 6th one is taking exclusive shelter of Krishna. Just like Bali Maharaj, he fully surrenders onto Krishna. I think that's the 6th one. So it's there in the purport to Sarva Dharman Parityaja, in that verse, 1866 of Gita, Prabhupada, he quotes this verse. So humility is another symptom of surrender. So how can we understand that? How does humility represent surrender? Well, basically, unless we're humble, unless we understand, how small and tiny we are, and unless we understand that actually Krishna is doing everything, then why will we surrender unto Krishna? Right? We think that we're the boss, we think we're doing everything, we think we're the controller. If we're proud of our abilities, then why will we come and surrender unto Krishna? Why will we beg for his mercy? We'll think that, I can just do it on my own. I don't need to surrender unto Krishna. I don't need to pray to Krishna. I have abilities, I have skills. I'll just do it with my own skills and abilities. But if a devotee is humble, if he understands that actually every single small good thing I'm doing, it's all done by Krishna's mercy. Whatever abilities I have, whatever talents I have, it's all coming from Krishna. Then naturally one will always be, in a mood of surrender. That Krishna, without your mercy, I cannot distribute any books. I have no qualification, I have no skills. Please help me, please empower me so I can distribute these books. So naturally, if one is humble, he is forced to surrender unto Krishna. He is forced to beg for Krishna's mercy. So that's how humility leads one to surrender unto Krishna. That's how humility represents surrendering unto Krishna. On the other side, if someone is very proud, then what is the need for him to come and pray to Krishna? Because he's proud of his abilities. He thinks, with my skills, talents, abilities, I can do this service by my own endeavor. So there's no need for him to pray and beg in front of, rather go open up, please help me do this service. I don't know how I'm going to do it. If someone is proud, they will never come and pray like that. So that's why to cultivate humility, that's another symptom of surrender. In 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very nicely, he gives 2 verses to Arjuna, contrasting a devotee who is very proud, and on the other side we have a devotee who is very humble and who is surrendered unto Krishna. So the verse Krishna speaks to describe a devotee who is very proud and not surrendered is the famous verse, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So a devotee who is very proud, who is not surrendered to Krishna, his symptom is ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate, being bewildered by false ego and pride. This devotee, he thinks, kartaham iti manyate. He thinks, I am doing everything by my own ability. I'm able to distribute books by my own skills and endeavor. I'm able to sing so nicely because of my musical talents, and my good voice given by Krishna. Give good voice, that I've been born with. So because of reading Prabhupada's book, we're so trained, that automatically we always think that. So that is a symptom of a devotee who is very proud. He's thinking that everything he's doing is by his own endeavor, by his own skills and talents. So kartaham iti manyate. Then Krishna, he gives, in the same 3rd chapter of Gita, Krishna gives the opposite of that. A devotee who is humble, a devotee who is surrendered to Krishna's lotus feet. So this other verse, it's not so often quoted, but it's a very nice verse to memorize, because this verse explains how we should actually be acting. For a lot of us, a lot of times during the day, we are in the, ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate consciousness. We do a little good thing, we get a little success in any devotional service, immediately we start thinking, we start feeling a little proud, that, okay, I did it, Okay, Krishna also gave me some help, but I also get some credit, okay? Krishna gets 40% credit, I get 60%, Yes, Krishna's mercy is there, but my endeavor, my skills is also there, okay? So like this, we take some credit for ourselves and little credit we give to Krishna. But how is it that we should actually be acting? Krishna explains in the same 3rd chapter. In another beautiful verse, Krishna explains, Maya sarvani karmani sanyas siddhatma chetasa nirasir nirmamo bhutva jujvasva vigata jvara. So in this verse, Krishna gives different symptoms of a particular devotee who is humble and who is surrendered at his lotus feet. So Krishna says, Mai sarvani karmani, that a devotee, a pure devotee of mine, whatever activity he does those activities for me. Mai sarvani karmani. He doesn't do it for sense gratification, for anything else. Every single activity he simply does it for my pleasure. Sanyas yadatma chetasaha. So sanyas yadatma chetasa means whatever results he gets from those activities he does, he gives all those results onto me. He renounces all the results onto me. Then nirasir. Nirasir means he does all of his activities without desire for profit. So generally, whenever we do any activity, our consciousness is trained in such a way, we always think, what is it I can get out of this particular activity? How does it benefit me? Okay, if I help chopping veggies in the kitchen, I will get nice Mahaprasad saved by Prem Sagar Prabhu. Okay, so immediately our mind is always calculating, even in devotional service. If I do this Maha cleaning, there'll be this thing awaiting me or this thing awaiting me. So our mind's always, hardwired, due to so many lifetimes of conditioning to always think what benefit I can get out of this. Even in bhakti, we're always calculating. Okay, I do this service, I do this. What will I get in return from Krishna or from other devotees? So nirasir means we do an activity and we don't desire any profit for ourselves. So that is called nirasir. To do devotional service without any motive for any profit or any benefit for ourselves. We just simply do it simply for Krishna's pleasure, for the pleasure of Guru and for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas. And then nirmamo. Nirmamo means to give up all sense of proprietorship. So mama means mine, this is mine, I am doing it, this is mine, this is mine. Nirmama means nothing is mine, everything is Krishna's. This car I possess is Krishna's, this house is Krishna's, My family is Krishna's, everything is Krishna's, and everything is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. This success I am getting is Krishna's. Whatever I have in my life, it's all Krishna's. So that is nirmamo, which means to give up all sense of proprietorship. Then yujvasa vigata jvara. Yujvasa means to fight or continue on with your devotional service. Vigata jvara. Vigata jvara means giving up all lethargy or giving up all laziness. So to be surrendered onto Krishna means we have to give up laziness. Many times we know something is right. We know, okay, if I do this, it will please the devotees, it will please Krishna. But we don't do it just simply out of laziness. We're just too lazy to do it. Classic, wake up early in the morning. We know it's good for us. But, out of laziness, we just sleep in, Like there's so many different things if we analyze during the day. So many things we know if we do will help us. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books, or doing a particular seva. But we just choose not to do it because, we're just lazy. We just can't be bothered, we just want to do the easy thing. So that's the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to always pick something which is very easy. The mind is very lazy. So Krishna says, if you're a surrendered devotee of mind, you have to just let go of your laziness and just surrender and just do what is the right thing. Like the Nike slogan, just do it. So Krishna is saying like that. You overcome lethargy by just doing it. Just ignore your mind. Your mind might give 100 reasons to not do a particular thing which is good for you. You ignore your mind and you just do it. Overcome your laziness and just do the service. Just do what is favorable for my devotional service. So that is a nice verse to meditate on. That's there in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the 5th item of surrender, which is humility. And I think the last item is completely giving oneself, like Krishna's sweet. Is that right? So the 5th okay. Gop tritve varnam tata atma niksepa karpanya. Okay, atma niksepa means to completely surrender one's life and soul at Krishna's lotus feet. So atma means one's life and soul. Niksepa means completely surrendering one's life and soul. Then karpanya, that refers to humility. Okay, so these are the 6 items of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, accepting what is favorable for devotional service. Pratikulyasya varjanam, rejecting what is unfavorable. Raksisyatiti visvaso, accepting Krishna as our supreme protector. Goptritve varnam tata, accepting Krishna as a supreme maintainer. Atma niksepa,